record.
गुड इवनिंग एंड वेलकम टू गना शॉट। गना शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है। आज हम एक ही सवाल के बारे में डिस्कस करेंगे। डज टेक्नोलॉजी विन वॉर्स? एंड फॉर दिस डिस्कशन आई हैव विद मी जनरल दुष्यंत सिंह। गुड इवनिंग जनरल दुष्यंत एंड वेलकम टू गना शॉट once again. A very
Thank you.
important question we're going to discuss today. Does technology win wars? Why?
Thank
As with Klaus and you, we have done a series of programs on technology in battle and how technology is changing battle. What are the important technologies? AI, and we spoke about space and many.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the question is, where does it lead to? Right? I mean, without doubt, there is no doubt that technology has impacted battle, but have people won? Right? What we'll do is, I'd like your initial comment, then I'll put you through a presentation which I
Yeah.
have made, and we'll keep discussing as we go along various facets of this business of technology.
Correct.
So your initial views, and then I'll get on to what I wanted to put
Sir,
across.
my first of all, thank you very much, sir, for all the help which you have given to Claus to actually kickstart this technology series. This is a very important series from the perspective of Indian Army officers who are going to uh, take the entrance examination for Defence Services Staff College, which is a career course of 1 year, and I always compare it to getting through this particular test as difficult as getting through IAS for the Indian Army officers. So that is the level and importance of this particular entrance examination. Not only science and military, there are five more subjects which they have to appear, and each one of them is a challenge by itself. Science and military is challenging from the perspective that when we were youngsters and when we gave this exam and when we cleared the staff college, uh, we felt it very difficult. We had to go through 3 4 presses and then reproduce whatever questions were asked in the examination. But the challenge now is the speed at which technology is changing, and therefore for the officers who are going to take these exams, they have to be that much fast and quick on their feet to understand what and how the new technologies are affecting. What I have noticed here is that there is a tendency to get carried away by technology. That okay,
Yeah,
now we have got AI, so the solution for everything is AI. So people start referring, why don't you try this out with AI? Why can't we shorten the OODA loop with AI? What is OODA loop? Observe, orient, decide, and act, which is basically sensor shooter
yeah,
linkage which we have. So those who are in the defense will understand this kind of a thing. So they say, okay, we have been taking 30 minutes to get a particular fire on the target. You got AI, now get it down to 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, and what have you. You have AI Lavender, which has been started by the Israelis. Now, what AI Lavender has done is it's an app wherein they have fed the all possible data of terrorists in the Hamas organization. Now, this app is going to tell you, okay, this particular person whom they have identified through either photo identity or whatever way it is, the soldier on the ground or system which has been deployed to kill these people, that he is a terrorist. Now we are depending on that database ultimately for the AI to give you a signal. This guy is a terrorist. Deploy the weapon, shoot it before he vanishes from that particular area. And what I believe I have come to know is that there have been a lot of mistakes done in this particular process, because ultimately Who is the one who's creating all these things? Is the human mind. So the litmus test for any technology to succeed is the man behind that technology. And
Yeah,
essentially, we would like you to highlight exactly where technology helps us and where technology finds the dead end, and
the
it
dead
is the
end. Yeah,
human mind. It is the human mind which has to take over, because
take over.
ultimately everything is no
Yeah.
system. I was reading yesterday an article where it was showing, I mean, telling that there is no system developed in the world till date which can beat the human system.
Yes. And we are
So,
trying to challenge that. The
and we're
funny
trying
thing
to,
is we are trying to challenge that. Yeah.
absolutely. So,
Mm.
let's get started, sir. And with this,
Yeah, I'll start. Okay. It's a sort of a hotcake kind of a presentation, but it'll be worth it. Right. Now, uh, I read this article, uh, Foreign Affairs. And
Yeah.
this is where I picked the heading up from. Does technology win wars? And he says the US military needs low cost innovation, not big ticket boondoggles. One point of view. But when you read this article, it explains that technology need not win you wars or not necessarily to win you wars. Okay. But I'll come to certain factors later. I'll just show you where some interesting thinking. Same foreign affairs, sometime later. He says back in trenches.
Mhm.
Now, if you look at the Ukraine Russia war, right, you see that the trenches are like what they were in First World War. There's no, uh, there's no movement taking place. Tanks, shanks, everything other than there's no movement. There's no maneuver. Maneuver is out. Look at look at Gaza, Israel, Hamas, complete built-up area. Where is the maneuver? There's no maneuver. Okay. After all, at the end of the day, Gaza is 42 kilometers of a strip, right? I start from one end of the beach in Chennai, I go to the other end, at 56 kilometers.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's more than Gaza. And that place, people have been fighting over the past 8 months. No, nothing has happened. It's not, why technology hasn't revolutionized warfare. This is a question. I will say why technology has not revolutionized warfare in either Gaza or in Ukraine or in South China Sea, where, Philippines is showing a ungli to China. One of these days we'll cover that also. But at the same time, this I found in Washington Post, which says how the algorithm kept the balance in Ukraine. There is a case where, like what you said, AI has made some difference. The algorithm war is happening in Ukraine,
Yeah.
and we need to understand this. You have to understand this. And then there's also opinion like, how Ukraine's tech army is taking the fight to Russia. It has taken, there's no doubt about it. It's not only one way. This is, of course, being from Washington Post. This spoken of the what Ukraine has done, but equally there's a Russian angle also to it. Even Russia's, yeah, okay, one has to. But I'm making the larger picture, irrespective of. And he says Ukraine war is revolutionizing military technology. Whoever masters it wins. Again, debatable because you look at Taliban, they had no technology. Look at America, they had all technology. Who won? Look at Vietnam, right? Vietnamese just died in their paddy fields, but they won finally. Okay.
Absolutely.
And for that matter, you can take many examples like this. So technology always doesn't win. You might, okay. But then let's see how it affects battlefield because you can't say technology doesn't win, so I throw it out. Right. And this is something which I've got from these articles only. He says technologies give an advantage in war. It alters the capacity of states to create and project military power, right? Like China is doing.
Yeah.
Okay. And it can create greater firepower to increase the cost in terms of life and limb. That is the misery you can heap on the other guy. It can also at the other end where you can cause casualties to the other person, you can decrease the cost of war by limiting human cost of war, by limiting losses and making escalation less likely by deterring, right? So that you can preserve your manpower and political gains you can get. And this is important. Technology shifts the balance between offense and defense. If you have technology, you could be offensive or defensive as you choose. So it gives you that flexibility. It also affects the state's ability to fund wars and to supply battlefield. Right. So how you can do it? Powerful war economies or revolutionizing the and creation and production of weapons. And ideally by doing both. Right, technology will kickstart your economy, and you create a war economy, you can fund your whole story. And of course you can decrease resource dependence so that states can control supply chains and sustain their ability to carry out a conflict over time. This is very important. The concept of Atmanirbharta hinges on this. Okay, now the next thing is, we all talk of new weapons and cheap and small technologies and all that. What is coming out is, it's not really realistic to replace all existing weapons with cheap off the shelf technology. Right? Just because you have some cheap technology, you can't throw out your tanks. I'll talk of tanks a little later. Yeah, many high end systems still play important roles in combat. You can't, आप एक hypersonic weapon को नजरअंदाज नहीं कर सकते. Right? Or for that matter, long range rocket, you can't wish it away. You can't wish away the latest tank or a good rifle, right? But you can complement complex high technology with cheaper autonomous systems, communication, munitions, and decoys. You mesh the two, right? Then what happens? You can create friction, battlefield friction. You can slow down the conflict or control the pace of conflict, and you can increase the long-term cost to adversaries, right? Now, is that happening in Ukraine? To a large extent, it is. It could be sacrificial in nature, but the cost to Russia is increasing by the day. You forget about Ukraine. Ukraine is gone, right? It doesn't exist as a nation. It's a proxy nation there. But the the cost to Russia at some point of time will keep increasing, and it has its own manifestation. Okay, and you look at uh, Israel. The same thing is happening to Israel. The cost to Israel is going up, right? Hamas and Hezbollah and Houthis and Iran have used certain amount of high tech and low tech to impose costs on Israel. Then, of course, the last thing is, when you look at new versus old weapons, you can invest in resilient networks, adaptable information technology, and munition stockpiles to go beyond the initial salvos of war. So that is basically build war stamina. So it is not as if new and old weapons are separate or you can do away. The idea is mix and match. Now, what are your views before I go to the next issue?
Sir, basically, what we have gathered over a period of time based on these two wars and also wars in the past, and I'm referring to Afghanistan, I'm referring
Yeah,
to, Iraq, Iran, Iraq, everywhere, till the time the war is being fought one way, with technology becoming a demonstrator of prowess and power, there has been tremendous success. But moment the human angle starts getting into it, and moment the fight reduces down to the ground, it is here that you find that technology starts having limitations. I'll give you two examples. Russia initially suffered a lot with the precision guided munitions, JDAMs, etc., which were given by the Americans to Ukraine. And they suffered. They suffered badly, both in terms of tanks, in terms of manpower, which was lost. Subsequently, the Russians realized that these precision guided munitions were dependent on frequencies, dependent on Electronics, they started now deploying counter electronics measures to ensure that they always missed their targets. So what I'm trying to refer to is technology in the initial phases has given tremendous advantage to a person. You take the tanks, sir. Initially, when the
Yeah, I'll come
tanks,
to the tanks.
no, I'm
We'll
just
come to the
saying that
tanks.
initially, when a new technology comes in, it gives you such a vast advantage that people start getting,
Enamored by it.
enamored by it. But moment this happens, there is a counter technology war which starts off. And who starts this war? That is where I'm saying it's again the human mind which starts this war. So therefore, technologies are enabler in my view. Technologies are enabler, and the initial success is always going to be there with a person who is taking the initiative, but subsequently the system starts catching up. There has to be a mix of new and old, like as you said, but the old gives you that, advantage of doing some innovations and trying to actually overcome the new technologies also. Here you will
Yeah,
find the
uh,
example of
Dushyant,
rockets,
Dushyant, one
the
minute, one
rockets.
minute. Dushyant, 1 minute. Just continue speaking. I'll be off. I'll come back in 2 minutes.
Okay, okay.
Okay?
uh,
Just
Go ahead,
just
sir.
carry on.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So what actually happens is that when you look at old and the new also, you will find sometimes the old technology can just swamp the new technology. I'll give you example of the Israel Hamas war. What has the Hamas side done? They have thrown dud rockets. Dud rocket means no guidance, no nothing, limited range, but in large numbers. And when they did this, they were able to beat the Iron Dome system, which was far costly, which was very accurate, which had a success rate of 80 to 90%. But even with that success of 80 to 90%, with innovation, an old weapon or old system was able to overcome the technology. So my only observation in all this is that there is a mix of continuous war which is going on in the terms of technology and in terms of the human mind.
Yeah. I completely agree with you. And with this is what I'm going to get out next. Look at this. You know, tanks are not obsolete. In the initial phases of the Ukraine war, everyone said, there are a lot of losses of tanks both on the Ukraine and Russian side. So tanks have lost their value. In fact, both the countries have, lost more than half the tanks with which they started the war.
Yeah.
Okay. And they say, look, because of these losses, tanks have become obsolete. But then, look at the statistics. This is interesting, actually. In 1943, the loss rate for German tanks was 113%. Germany lost more tanks than it owned at the beginning of the year, right? Some would have been recycled, that's why they're looking at 113%. In 1944, Germany lost 122% with which it started. The Soviet Union's loss rates for tank in 1943 and 1940 were nearly as high. 44, naturally they lost less because Battle of Stalingrad they won, and then Kursk happened, and okay, but still 109 and 80%.
Very
Now
high.
look at the very high. In a single battle in Normandy, the UK lost more than 30% of all its armor on the continent in just 3 days. Few have argued that the tank was obsolete either in 1918 or 1944. So just because you lost tanks because of drones, is the tank obsolete? No. So the tank will morph. The battlefield has morphed with drones, so the tank will morph. So this is a thing which just to substantiate what you're saying.
And I would like to add here, sir, I would like to
Yeah,
add to this argument. Initially, when the Air Force, I mean, first time,
yeah,
it came as a big bang. But suddenly you
yeah.
started developing anti-air defense and other
And
systems. and then you started talking of the tanks again came back,
Came back.
right?
Okay.
That is the reason why the tanks came back again, sir.
And not only that, today you're also talking Air Force is not required because air is not active.
Absolutely. Because drones
Okay.
have come.
The drones have come. So these things are all just a change in the way things, evolution of warfare. Nothing goes out of the equation. Not even
Yes,
bows and arrows, not even clubs. In this Sadi, we have used 4 years back on the LAC, we use clubs to fight, despite the fact we are nuclear adversaries. So nothing
yes,
goes out of the equation.
yes.
Okay. Then artillery. 80 to 90% casualties have been by fire. Right? Right. Fighting in Ukraine features armies using drones to find enemy targets, which we all know, and then using network communications to quickly relay the information for precision engagement of guided artillery. This is the popular perception. But not all artillery in Ukraine or in Russia is guided. Most
Precision
of it
guide.
is dumb old rounds. But
Dumb
what is
round.
important? Yeah, what is dumb, uh, artillery? But what is important? The important thing is that the old artillery, the old weapon systems have done mix and match. They've been teamed up with new systems like drones, reconnaissance, targeting, and
You
made the old artillery new or more effective. Okay, I still remember, Kargil war. Uh, the we had buffers, we had grads, we had 105s and all that. The Pakistanis did not have any mountain equipment, right, fit for those heights. What did they do? They they brought up the old 5.5-inch guns, stripped, carried it piece by piece, assembled it on those heights at 14, 15,000, used it innovatively because the 5.5 also doesn't fire high angle. They
I
used
mean,
with a
sir, so why go far away? Zozila, what did we
Zotila
do? What did we
we do.
do?
Yeah.
We got the
And
entire squadron of armor at Zozila Pass.
Zojila Pass. And these Pakis with 5.5-inch guns, which were of Second World War, fought and destroyed the Kargil ammunition dump. Similarly, what you are saying, we took tanks to Zojila Pass, where the people never expected tanks, right? So innovation is probably the more important thing, and that is
Yes,
what the whole idea of taking this is you can have all precision ammunition, but you still need normal artillery, the normal tanks, the normal infantryman. These three तो इसके बिना आपका गुजारा नहीं है बैटल के अंदर. Now, there's another very interesting piece I saw. It says the real contest with China. It says is Washington needs a comprehensive industrial strategy to outpace Beijing. Your capacity. Technology
absolutely.
is not on the battlefield. Technology needs to be applied in your industry. Unless you revolutionize the industry, you can't fight battles. He says war in Ukraine shows that the age of industrial warfare has not passed. Countries still need a lot of artillery, tanks, and old fashioned weapons. It's been a wake up call to Western countries because they have not been able to produce artillery ammunition and other ammunitions. Right? 90% of the weapon systems being employed by both sides, aircraft, tanks, and artillery, and the like, were developed and often produced in the 20th century.
Sir,
Okay?
I like to add a
Yeah,
data. I like to add a data here, uh,
yeah,
given by Admiral Mike Gilday of the
yeah,
U.S. Army, U.S. Defense Forces. He says after the 100 days of war, when the U.S. approved Javelin and Stinger missiles, old, they are not new
yeah.
missiles. They
They are
are
old.
fairly vintage missiles being transferred as aid to Ukraine. The Raytheon manufacturers and Lockheed Martin manufacturers, they gave out a statement saying it will take us years. It will
To
take us
make.
to go back to pre-war status.
Yeah,
So that means nobody has abandoned old technology, or nobody has abandoned technology, but its innovative usage, like as you said,
is
adaptation and
is the
innovative usage, that is important.
is the key. That is the key.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So let's get ahead. Right. Okay. This argument goes further. He says the reason technological advances are not more determinative in war is that they're only part of what shapes outcomes. That's what we've been arguing. How
absolutely.
combatants use their technology and adapt to their enemy's equipment is as important, and the most important adaptations are often not technological but operational and tactical.
And tactical.
Okay? It is what that man does in the trench which is more important always, which will win the war or lose the war.
uh,
They involve changes in the way armies use tools at their disposal. All these stories are all tools.
Correct.
Okay. Over a century ago, armies developed tactics that reduce their exposure to enemy fire by exploiting dispersion, cover, concealment, and suppressive fire. Has this changed? It has not changed. If drones have come, you need more dispersion, right? The fundamentals of warfare have just not changed. So, right. So, this is what, you know, the nichode of technology is with all everything.
So,
So, I want your views now and then we can have a discussion.
like for example, sir, well, I mean, what you have said in the last two slides is fully the reality. You take three aircrafts which are high end, high technology, man them with a pilot, and ram it into World Trade Center. What is that, sir? That is
Innovation.
innovation. That is innovation. That is ideation. It's not new. Look at the Japanese, what they did with Japanese kamikaze fighters. What did they do? They took their aircrafts and rammed them into the ships on the sea
Yeah,
during Second World War. We are talking of Second World War, sir. So it is a simple fact which comes out that technology and a human mind both are required for you to win wars. If we assume that only technology can win us war, I think we are wrong. If we think that only the human being alone without getting equipped properly can win you the war, I think we are wrong. It is a good mix of human versus and technology, new versus old, all these mixtures together used ingeniously to the situation prevailing on the ground at that particular moment in the warfare, in the battlefield, will win you wars. So therefore, strategy, strategic, operational, and tactical level, all three levels have to combine. More so, innovations and adaptations are more applicable at the operational and the tactical level, which is
tactical level.
which is where you will find that the difference start taking place in terms of results and outcomes.
Yeah. At the end of the day, that Santa Singh and Banta Singh sitting in the trench have to hold,
Absolutely.
have to
Yes.
hold line, right? That whatever fire he has on his shoulder or which comes from behind has to be effective on the enemy. How you
Correct.
make it do is it doesn't matter.
Correct.
Okay. And if you see, that has been the critical difference between what we have been able to achieve in high altitude and what the Chinese have been able to demonstrate so far, right? And it is not, I'm not trying to this thing, but I think the critical difference is they have all the equipment. We all
Yeah.
know that they have better equipment, they have better infrastructure, everything. But yet, why are they not even prepared to fire one round? After all, we've had three skirmishes almost, Doklam, 2020, and Yangtze. And not even at one place did they attempt to fire a round or use all the force which they had. And not only that, you look at Philippines. In fact, I was thinking,
Yeah.
the, what's happening in Philippines, in South China Sea and Philippines. For the past 8 months, 10 months, they've been dashing each other with boats. Water cannons have been firing, everything. But the Chinese have not fired a single round so far. They're very careful of not firing weapons. Very careful.
Yeah.
Okay, why? They're not confident of handling it. Right? It's not a one side. Unfortunately, war is not a one-sided affair. Okay, in my experience, and I'm sure it's your experience too, I find the more dangerous enemy for us is the Pakistani, who can
They
fight
have
better.
they do a lot of innovations. If you really see,
Yeah,
20 Mumbai attack,
yeah,
fantastic usage of
innovation.
human innovation. You look at any of these attacks. What did they do in Akshardham? They went right on two guys, just two people. They went right on top of the mandir's highest point, and from there they were killing anyone and
People.
everyone who was coming in their sight. They knew that they were going to die, but before they before they were dead, I think they took so many people along with them. It was unbelievable. It is unbelievable. So technology has its limitations against a human mind, and that is why we said that human system is the best system today, which is existing till now. Unless
Yeah,
the AI becomes so adaptive that it starts beating the human mind, I think we should take it with a pinch of salt, that we must look at technology and human beings as some kind of complementing each other, and then I think we will win wars uh,
automatically.
in a more effective manner.
Yeah,
That's some nichode of this discussion which we have had today. So,
and what you said about AI yesterday, it was yesterday only I spoke about AI to everyone.
yeah,
Yeah, at this point of time, we have narrow AI. It is repetitive AI. It's, I would say the AI which we normally use is more of, a
learning.
high-end machine learning or deep learning, right?
Absolutely.
It's more predictive and more classificative in nature. It's more statistical in nature. It's
Correct.
not original in nature. It's not original in nature by any stretch of imagination. That is still away, and the moment it becomes original, the thought process of that originality has to start in the third level. So we are far away. When people say AI will rule the roost, robots will rule the roost, and all, it's all bunk. There's a long way to go.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Now the
not it's
next
not
thing, with
it-
yeah,
it's not
go ahead.
it's not out of possibility, but it is
But
still some distance away. It's
it's some distance away,
yes,
and when it comes, we'll handle it. The human mind will handle that also.
yeah,
The second thing which I want to say is where technology has made a difference. It has made a difference is in your ability to, prepare for a war. Is in your ability to develop stamina for a war, and especially for big nations, uh, where you have huge responsibilities and you have huge adversaries. The requirement of building war stamina is important. You look at even small non-militia, non-state forces like Hezbollah or Houthis. You see the rocket arsenals they've built up. It is giving them stamina to fight out. After all, at the end of the day, what is Hamas? Hamas has got hardly any, firepower. But the
absolutely.
firepower it has made, and his originality of thinking, he is still firing. Today also, he is fired rockets
Yeah.
on Israel. So the requirement of technology to build war stamina is important. Your views on this?
uh, I tend to agree with you, sir, because technology can also offset a lot of your manual requirements, right?
Yeah,
So if your manual requirements are reduced, obviously you get that much more ability to prolong the war, prolong the conflict. If you start, it is also helping protection. More often than not, we don't realize, we only look at the offensive part of it, but
but
technology
defensive.
also results in protection. Now if I have a good ECCM system, electronic counter measure systems, the enemy precision guided munitions can be directed or spoofed to a different direction, to a different location. My location, my people, my technology is safe from that. So I personally feel that it's a cat and mouse game, where you can use technology both for causing degradation and for ensuring protection. Now in this battle of Degradation and protection, who wins is the guy who's smart enough
Yeah.
of the two. So that is why I also said earlier that it's a mix. It's a good mix of technology and the human mind, which will win the wars for us to go to tomorrow. And definitely, you can't wish away technology. If today I can reach faster, mobilize faster, obviously, sir, I'll save the number of effort required, number of trucks required, number of rakes required. If the turnaround is faster, what is happening today? I mean, a simple example in the civil, if people have to understand from a civilian perspective, today the roads have become outstanding, right? So the wear and tear of all your vehicles, etc., has reduced. So therefore, less number of vehicles, larger transportation of goods, and similar thing is for defense, where a better technology leads to larger results. Okay, a particular bomb, say for example, if it can straight away hit the target, obviously I don't have to make 100 bombs. Then I just
Yeah.
make 10 bombs, do with it, and prolong my war for another
More.
month, another month. So therefore,
Yeah.
my cost may increase, my cost of production may increase, but my cost of total requirement may reduce, and my
Yeah.
ability to prolong the war will increase. So
Increase manifold.
absolutely,
And yeah, you look at it from a different point of view also. Today, for our entire battlefields are all in high altitude areas. And you need a lot of fossil fuel to survive out there. You need fossil fuel for almost everything for energy. Without electricity and diesel generator sets and all which we take, and we don't have. Look at it. If you spend in infrastructure, take electricity up, you take the fossil fuel out. You take the fossil fuel out, you don't have to transport it. You're not worried about it. And then, most importantly, the pollution part of it also.
yeah,
And then the cost of buying that infrastructure for the fossil fuel is also taken off. So it's a
definitely.
huge saving. And the manpower involved in transportation of fossil fuel from place A to place B. So whole saving you do because if you put infrastructure for energy. But if you have better technology, right? If you can manufacture energy in situ, then you save everything. So how do you get that next level technology in the battlefield? So that is the thing which you have to look. How do you innovate to make yourself uh, better to fight, better to survive, and that gives you the ideas because then you don't have to think. Okay, यार मेरे पास ना आज मिट्टी का तेल नहीं आया, मेरा जनरेटर सेट चलेगा या नहीं चलेगा, I don't know. Now I know मेरे पास सब कुछ है, सामग्री है, where I can generate my thing. So all my systems are go. I can check. I don't have to be think. And then I think ahead. I think into the battle and say, yeah, isko abhi kaisa fasana hai. So there's a mental change also which happens, and that is the kind of technology I'm looking for. Your
and
views, and then we'll ask questions.
and adding to what you're saying is why technology today is becoming more and more important and counting for itself is the fact that dual use technology numbers are increasing.
Increasing.
So there is a sustainability factor also. I mean, evolving technology purely for defense leads to people thinking that we are spending too much money into developing new technologies, but a technology which has a dual use, that means both for the civil as well as for the defense. And clear examples are semiconductor chips. They are absolutely mandatory for any kind of systems which we are dealing with today, whether in the civil, whether in the defense, whether in any of these, even for climate change, even for global commons. Everywhere these technologies are coming handy, and hence the sustainability of technology is increasing by itself by making it commercial over semi-commercial. So that again adds up to your that point which you have just been referring to. So again, sir, technology is important. We are not
but it
banishing,
has its limits.
we are not banishing tech. We are not saying that technology is not required. Don't go by the heading we had created just to make you understand that, technology is important, but how to explain to you. We said, we gave that title, Can Technologies Win War? So that you understand the limitations of technology and you understand the importance of human being, both. So
Yeah,
limitations of technology and importance of the human mind. Unless these two are understood by people who are practicing war at the tactical level or at the operational level, I think we will not be able to fully go ahead and win wars in the future. Look at our wars, which we are fighting today, sir. All the wars. People talk of gray zone. People may say, कि, sir, gray zone में क्या
yeah,
technology
yeah,
का
everything is in gray zone today.
so I mean, cyber is what technology, but
A
how,
complete gray zone.
yeah, how to use that cyber technology is where the human mind again comes in. So therefore, I think it's a good mix of the two, which we have to now continuously focus on, and maybe rather than indulging in large wars, time
Go
has come
for.
to do small wars. Otherwise,
Yeah, we'll
we'll
see
get
how it goes.
otherwise
We'll
we
see
will
how
get,
it goes.
yeah, otherwise we'll get
Maybe.
stuck like Ukraine and Israel.
Yeah, yeah. We don't have to. In fact, maybe we have to look. This is my view because you said it. I think we have entered a time where hybrid is the new norm,
Yes,
and we have to start looking at gray zone very seriously.
correct,
A
sir.
gray zone has to be matched by another gray zone, right?
Absolutely.
And then the other chap will know very fast as to what we mean,
Correct.
right? Okay. Shall we take some questions?
Yes, sir. I think
Yeah, we'll
we have
take a few